like, oh, that's Aunt Judy. She has a mouth on her. Like, so when she says that comment,
Great.
don't take it personally. Kind of like helping your spouse to be able to know the quirks and cues of your family. Like, I remember early on, when you would come into my family, it's like we would have like the hand squeeze of just like, okay, let's move on. And that would be kind of like to try to avoid that potential conflict, or like, ooh, like there's some passive aggressive comments happening. Let's move on to like the next conversation. And it was really challenging. All right.
Hey.
So here we go.
Okay.
So we are full throttle in the midst of the holidays.
Come on, jingle bell.
Jingle bell rock.
Yeah, there it is. There. Okay.
Which is really an interesting time of the year because it can pose challenges or it can be glorious.
No, it could be
depending on who's coming over, right?
That's absolutely true. No, that's absolutely true. I didn't know you were going to say that.
No, because I feel like it's true.
No.
I always said that I married up because I married into a great set of in-laws.
I mean, I would agree with that.
I think every family has like its little bits of drama, but I would say that I was most nervous bringing you into my family just because my family has always, ever since I was born, had a little tinge of drama seed within the family.
Well, yeah. And that, I'll say that's true. That's true. But I also, and this is one of the things, you don't know anything other than your own thing.
Right.
And so you say you married up and I'm like, I mean, I know now after 30 years, but if you told me that then, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it's just what it's always been, but I don't know if it's better. Well, over time, maybe.
In 30 years, so out of all of the years that we've been married, so we've been together for 30 years and I've never had any drama in your family, but we've had multiple encounters of drama within my family, either me provoked or you provoked or us provoked or family provoked. And sometimes we're not even the center of it. We're just the casualty of it. It's like an explosion happened.
We got hit by shrapnel. Absolutely.
Shoot.
But so today we're talking about in-laws. And so our last episode, we concentrated on holidays, which a part of holidays was in-laws, but we were specific to say in-laws has its own episode because it's a many-faceted idea and reality of the in-law relationship that we thought just really deserved more than just a couple bullet points in a holiday episode.
Yeah, because it's not just the holidays that
you're right.
bring it to the forefront.
It's true.
But whatever underlying issue is magnified during the holidays when it comes to in-laws. And I think that it's like, even in the best of relationships and in the best of relationships with your in-laws, I do think that there's always potential to either get your feelings hurt or to have there be something, just because we're dealing with humans. We're dealing with real people, and real people have the tendency to hurt or offend even unknowingly, or
just being themselves could be offensive to somebody because it's not normal, because it's not their normal, right?
Right. And you're spending an extended amount of time with these people that you don't normally spend that much time with. Like throughout the year, like you may go out to dinner, you may like have certain things, you may have like holiday
pockets of time.
Like little pockets. But it's like this is usually like an all-day extravaganza, or at least a good chunk of your day. And I think that when that happens and you throw the stress of the holidays and the shopping and the presents and the gifts and the food and all of the types of things, everyone's like default maybe like thorns in their sides are just a little bit more heightened just because of the stress of the season.
Agreed.
So I like my first like thing is let's go into this holiday season, especially when it comes to the in-laws, with just an extra dose of grace for yourself, for your own family, for your spouse, and for your in-laws.
Heck, if we did that well, literally, if we did that well,
there would be no episode.
We just need to move on. It's just like, hey, this was a 5-minute episode. Enjoy the holidays. Like, honestly, because if we could operate in that level of grace, when we truly understand grace, especially in situations with in-laws, that there's different families, because the reality is when you get married, you marry a family. Whether you like it or not, you marry a family. And for some families, the in-laws, it was a great union. It was just perfect. It was wonderful. But for the vast majority, there's a quiet tension. There's pain. There's dysfunction. And when not addressed or intentionally confronted, but in a loving way, together as a married couple, it could create years of conflict. A guaranteed November through January conflict, and much of it can be avoided when you take the time to take steps to acknowledge the fact that we have two different families and both are good and fine. It's good, but you go from family of origin to now new thing, and the new thing is the most important. And sometimes I think we get stuck in, especially when you're newly married. I know for me, I when we first got married, I was more attached to my mom's opinion about what things were happening instead of our opinion.
But I also think that was the growing pains of merging our families. And I do think that if we would have been able to listen to something like this early on in our marriage, I think we would have set up a holiday battle plan way sooner.
I would agree.
In our marriage, and it would have alleviated a lot. Alleviated.
There
you go. We'll just plug that word in.
Yeah.
But it's like it would have removed. It would have removed.
You just sidestep.
Yeah,
sidestep.
It would have removed a lot of the stress, the burden, the missed communication, the unmet expectations again, because we're always going back to the unmet expectations. And it would have helped our communication be a lot stronger.
But the reality is you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And so early in marriage, be kind to yourself. It's fine. But if you're hearing this now and you're relatively new in your marriage, journey, pay attention. Listen to the end. Even if you're 40 years into it, still listen, because we haven't mastered it by any means, and we know this right now. We have not mastered it.
We are currently not mastering this.
Yeah, this is great, ladies and gentlemen. We're still trying to listen to our own advice. But if you're hearing this now and you haven't mastered it, there's some steps that you can take that depending on your relationship with your in-laws, your relationship that you have even with your own spouse, it may be awkward, but with consistency, it becomes normal. And do it now for a little bit of tension to avoid a lifetime of conflict.
Yeah.
That's the real. I'm getting way into it already, but but the reality is that that's what we're getting into. There is a hotbed of conflict because with our in-laws, and there's different seasons for it. We're picking up the holiday season. That's just normal. But research says between between the second and fifth year of your marriage is when the in-law tension happens, when financial or career stress comes up, in-law, or seasons that are stressful like holidays and busy seasons like that. That's when the in-law tension begins to rise. And so
that's interesting.
As we go into holidays,
keep that in mind.
That this is exactly, and with children, even if you're having children, right? You have a child, now there's expectation because grandparents and like all this other kind of stuff. So, okay, I'm jumping ahead. Sorry, babe.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about when, like, being the spouse, like, so if it was me and you're with my family.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So there poses a challenge in that because for you, you're going to have a different experience coming into my family
Mm-hmm.
than me going into yours. And so you coming into mine, so this could be either way, vice versa. It's like helping the other spouse to know kind of like to be like that emotional referee is so helpful to the spouse that's coming in. Like, oh, that's Aunt Judy. She has a mouth on her. Like, so when she says that comment,
Great.
don't take it personally. Kind of like helping your spouse to be able to know the quirks and cues of your family. Like, I remember early on, when you would come into my family, it's like we would have like the hand squeeze of just like, okay, let's move on. And that would be kind of like to try to avoid that potential conflict, or like, ooh, like there's some passive aggressive comments happening. Let's move on to like the next conversation. And it was really challenging because you came into my family, which was a divorced family. So you had my mom and my sister's side, which had its own set of drama. But then we also had my dad's side, which was also a blended family. And so I had a stepmom, and then she has all of her kids. So it's like we had a bunch of different family dynamics. And when my grandparents were alive, because when we were newly married, my grandparents were alive. So then there was like a whole other separate, like we would just have 3 separate Christmases for my family alone, and we would never have our own family.
Yeah, it was Christmas morning. That's what we had. That's all we had.
And so in that, it's like really, like, I think I kind of cued you in or on the early years of our marriage on the different dynamics.
Absolutely.
And helped you kind of to navigate that. But also knowing that it's like our loyalty, like my loyalty is now shifting from my family to this union. And that's a hard shift to navigate because I don't want to be put in the middle. Which
is often the case.
But I also want to be a support to you, and I want to be a support to my family. And my personality and like just tends to care more about how everyone else is feeling. And I'm always kind of like, is everyone okay? Like I will dull myself down and dull my true personality down if I feel like who I am will create conflict and tension. So I tend to like what's that word, like where you like it's something shift. It's like that superpower. Like,
oh shoot!
But this is not a superpower. But it's like I tend to shift my personality and who I am. Shapeshift. I shapeshift depending on the situation that I'm in. If I feel like there is a potential for conflict.
And what's interesting about that is if I didn't understand your personality, if I didn't understand who you are, I could take that as you care about everybody else but me.
Right.
When really, you very much care about me, and you're trying to set me up for success because you know the environment that I'm going into because you know who I am, you know how I operate, but you also know here, and you're trying to blend the two. If I was as the spouse going into an environment like that, if I was not given a heads up, that would be very difficult. Now, everybody's in control of their own emotions and responses and everything like that. But the reality is like there is an opportunity. Everybody has an opportunity to set their spouse up for success. Not giving them, you need to do this, but saying, I just want to make you aware. Uncle so-and-so, aunt whatever, my dad, whatever it is, so that when that person goes into it, I'm not making my own narrative on what's happening.
Right.
It just now matches what you've already told me, like, oh yeah, this is definitely Jane. Yeah.
Right. No, totally.
Or, I mean, let's be honest, we're those people in other people's lives as well. But I think that is that is a setup for success. Gives you an opportunity for that experience to not be dreadful and a total train wreck.
Absolutely. And I think that we owe it to our spouse to kind of set them up for success. And because they're walking into a situation with a family that they often are feeling like they are on the outside. So they're going to feel that tension and feeling like they want to like impress, or feeling like they're like not trying to step on toes. They're trying to put their best foot forward.
Yeah.
So it's creating tension on the other side as well. So it's not just like everyone else. It's a blending of families. And that's where, if you care about family, you will do whatever it takes to own your stuff.
Yep.
We are sitting here saying we have not done this perfect.
No. Oh my gosh.
We have
We've
blown
done a
up.
good job not.
Yeah, we've caused conflict. We've kind of come into the room and just been kind of like, "Ugh, excuse me."
Yeah. Hey,
And
check out this grenade.
yeah. And it's like there's been things that we've done throughout the years. I mean, I can remember like early on in our marriage, like I mean, gosh, I would just get into these fights with my mom because it's like I'm just be like, rah. and it was because it was so challenging, because my mom was that typical person that she wanted the holiday to be so perfect.
She really did.
And it's like, and in hindsight,
Oh,
I so wish I would have appreciated it, because it was her way of showing love.
Yeah.
But it was always this, she was always so stressed and so overworked by having to do all of these things that she put the pressure on herself for.
Totally.
Hindsight, gosh, I just wish I would have just like loved on her and just told her that it was okay to not.
Yeah.
And I think later on in the years, I did tell her, Mom, you don't need to make it such a big deal. Like, let's just do easy. Like, like, don't go over the top for the kids.
Yep.
Like, I just feel like it's like I did do that a little bit with her later on, but I wish that I would have done it more intentionally to her heart, because I loved her that much.
Of course.
I always talk past tense with my mom because she's no longer with us. So just for those people that don't know,
It's the holiday grief part.
yeah. And it's like,
It's realities, yeah.
and so it's just one of those things that, you know, extend grace, make it right when you feel like you've wronged, and own your stuff.
Yeah.
Don't think that it's like just because it's the holidays that anyone owes you anything, because no one owes you anything. And, you know, like, die to yourself to save relationship, because ultimately, like, the holidays are about relationship. And I think we miss that. I think we miss that with our pride and with our self-righteousness. And that comes out a lot, unfortunately, with the in-laws.
Yeah.
It's like, don't we want to make relationship the forefront of everything that we do? It's like we have that innate desire to make relationships true and right and good. That is part of our DNA. And it's like, put in the extra effort.
No, absolutely. And also remembering that at the core of, if you have a family that desires to get together, desires to have a family unit, desires to celebrate together, at the core of what they're trying to do is not manipulation.
Right. 100%.
What it is truly wanting to be a family.
Yeah.
And
caring.
Now, it may translate as the other side, but it's important to remember, if we can step away from our offense, step away from our entitlement, step away from those things, and simply capture and this could be for any family, it doesn't even need to be for in-laws. If I could simply just look at the situation as the one who is the anchor of this together, or this environment is just truly trying to get us together, and then apply grace to everything else that comes as a result of that,
Yeah.
you can begin to really, truly appreciate what this individual, your in-law, even if it's your own family, is actually trying to do. And because many times I believe that we go into holidays already at stage 8.
Mm-hmm.
of 10.
Yeah.
Already knowing, well, I know Jane is going to whatever, and I did this, and I'm going to, and then you're already activated walking in the door.
Right.
And I can say that only because I know that, because I've done that. Like, okay, we're going over here. So I'm already at 8. So
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do is look at me wrong and I'm activated and we're going,
Yeah.
right? Like, so, and that for many people is the reality.
Mm-hmm.
What if we got to a place of cleansing ourselves from all of the things that are just holding us back and just concentrating on the fact that we want to be together as a family, and maybe there is a true reality for love, joy, peace in this dysfunctional family that's been like that for however long. But what I choose to do as me is I'm going to come in at 1 with love, joy, and peace, and that's what I'm going to do. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's easy to say at a microphone.
Because it takes intention.
Oh my gosh,
You
yes.
don't fall into
No,
that.
geez.
Like, you have to be so intentional. You have to,
You have to confront yourself. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, you have to die to yourself a lot.
Yeah, you got to confront you. Hey, listen, the fact that you have a problem with what's happening involves you as well. What if you were just a loving and caring person that just allowed people to be who they are? You wouldn't necessarily have that problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's an argument that could be made, but I'm not looking to do that. But there is some realities to, we have a lot to own when there's conflict in a relationship. We have a part. We have a part. We don't want to admit that we have a part, but when you step away and be mature and look at it objectively, you can go, yeah, well, I probably shouldn't have, and well, there's that, and I shouldn't have done that, and I could look at that better. We all have parts to own, and one of the things that I want to bring up as a foundational reality, and we come from a place of faith, so we're anchored in that. That's our foundation, and so when we think about family relationships, we think about marital relationships, we go back to the Word, we go back to the Bible, right? And it says in Genesis 2:24, it says, "This is why a man leaves his father and mother and bonds with his wife, and they become one flesh." And the reason why I want to bring that up is because there is an expectation and there's an opportunity that when you leave your family of origin, which is where you came from,
Mm-hmm.
and then you create the new union,
Mm-hmm.
there is a transition of priority. Many times what happens in relationships is the family of origin of one side or another maintains its priority with that other person. And then now that's what the union is all about is, your side is still priority and we care about what they want as opposed to now what this new union is. And what's interesting from the Bible's perspective is that the Bible points out at the very beginning, Genesis, right? It's right at the beginning that you leave what was to create and maintain what now is. And that's not abandonment. It's simply a shift of priority, and it reprioritizes now what is at the top. And so for many couples, I believe that it's difficult for them because maybe they haven't been shown. I think that's probably true. Maybe now, for particularly my family has always been one, and I think you could attest to this, that if there was a conflict, they would always give grace to you do what's best for you and your family.
Your mom was so gracious.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
With the stresses of my family, that your mom was, I remember your mom sitting me down and just saying, Heather, like, we love you and we want you at every single family thing that we do. She was like, hands down, we want you there. She was like, but I never want you there if it's going to cause strife in other areas of your life, meaning with your family.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, we're always willing to bend and we can do something on a different day. Like, we can do this. And she was like, by all means. And like, it was the most gracious thing that she could have ever offered me, because my entire life, ever since I was ever since I can remember, honestly. I mean, my Christmas is starting at the age of like, I want to say like 4 or 5 when I first kind of started remembering holidays. It was always this tug of war of who's going to get Heather, where's she going to go? and that's when I became the people pleaser of just like, okay, as long as Heather's small and tiny and doesn't have a big personality, which is actually not who I truly am.
It's true.
As long as I'm not loud and in your face, then it's like, then everything was fine. But it's like I remember
once you had a voice.
Once I had a voice, or if I cried, like, because I was always a sensitive kid. I mean, everyone can see on the podcast, I cry almost every episode. But it's like I was always very sensitive. And it's like, if I cried, I would get yelled at or I would get punished. And it was whoever I was not right, because I would always cause everyone else like an inconvenience. So I learned how to be small, and I learned how to numb myself and be small in order to appease family. And so when we got married, I was like, ooh, I'm like, we can't say no. Like, we can't do all these things. I'm like, everyone's going to throw a fit. And I mean, just a small example was one year we were like, gosh, we're so tired of having like 4 Thanksgivings or, you know, a crazy amount of Thanksgivings. And we were just like, let's go out of town. We were like, doesn't this feel so great? We were like, friends of ours were going out to the desert, and they were like, hey, come out. We're just going to like have like a small Thanksgiving and just like hang out by the fire. And it sounded so glorious just to kind of get away. All of our kids got along really well. So I was so looking forward to it, but I was so petrified to tell our family. And literally it was one of the biggest arguments of the holidays that I can remember and recall, because everyone took it so offensively and so personally that I didn't want to be with family. But they weren't hearing that it had nothing to do with family. It had to do with the stress.
Yeah, our capacity to be able to navigate that.
Yeah. And it was something that just felt so much more enjoyable to break away and to kind of break patterns and break, I don't know, just the emotional weight that I had felt. And I was holding on to resentment because I didn't feel like the family took into consideration that we were married, and our kids were old at that point. I think they were like 9, 7, and 5. And so it's like they were old enough to know the stresses. And so, yeah, that was a really big challenge. But I do think that after that holiday, I think what we did is that's when we said, okay, from here on out, this is the pattern that we are choosing for our family. And that was the catalyst of us creating some healthy family boundaries.
And I want to definitely hit on boundaries. There's one thing that you said that I want to make sure the audience doesn't take out of context. You mentioned that when you cried, you got punished. Mm-hmm. Can you give some more clarity as to what that meant?
I was made fun of.
Okay.
It's gonna make me cry. It's gonna make me cry.
Of course. Yeah.
I was like told to go away. I was told that it's like, oh, Heather's crying again. I was put down. And
so you were I just wanted to make sure that our audience would know that punished. It's not like you were given a spanking, you can't cry. You're not saying that. What you're saying, are you saying that? I don't know.
I mean, I was never like spanked because of it.
But if you showed that level of emotion,
there was consequences.
And when you say consequences, you mean,
like
it was
like being like put in a room for hours, just go away.
Yeah.
Like, you're not welcome here.
Yeah, we don't need that here. Yeah. You just need to follow what we're saying with no voice or no response.
Yeah.
Okay. So before getting to boundaries, I wanted to kind of call out some things that generally cause conflict in the marriage in-law relationship, and just kind of call some of those things out.
Okay.
And one of them is the clashing family culture, which that's ours, right?
Right.
When you're talking about how you were worried about, families, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. How are we going to all this make this work? And then I didn't know anything other than my mom being like, no, you do what we want you here. But if that's going to cause problems, we don't want that to be, that's what I've come from. And then now your reality is, you better be here and you better be quiet about it type of a situation. So that's interesting. That's a complete, I
do want to say that it wasn't always like that. There were some years that were more volatile than others. And a lot of them were when my mom was alive.
Well, the reality is that we knew both sides. And so we navigated that right. So we had to bend over backwards to make sure that everybody was happy.
Right.
I mean, that's what we did. So
Absolutely.
in the less volatile times, it wasn't because they were less volatile. It was because we morphed ourselves into that reality.
Or that particular year, everything just kind of fell into place on schedules.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I'll yeah, absolutely. So one of the challenges is the clashing family cultures, right? Communication style, the hierarchy, conflict approach, right? Like approaching conflict, stuff like that, and how holidays should work.
Yeah, the should.
Yeah, the should. Like the holidays look like this. There is no other option.
And it does look like this for everyone, which isn't true.
Yeah, not at all true, right? Second is the loyalty conflict, where that is the spouses that come together. You have this new union that is the priority now, should be the priority now, but now the loyalty is that has not yet become to each other. It's still connected to the family of origin. And so now, well, we have to do this because my family, right? And now the other spouse has to either bend to that or now there's conflict, right? Because sometimes there are relationships that will bend that way. Just, I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to do it because I'm not going to create conflict.
Well, we would have a lot of conflict, like early on in our marriage, like you and I would have a lot of conflict too, because it's like, I would feel this overwhelming pleasure or pressure to please. And then you were just like, well, just say no. And I was like, you don't understand. I can't.
Yeah, that's not an option.
And we tried it a few times and it blew up. And then so it was finding that new normal and figuring out what worked for us in those early years. So if you're a newlywed out there, like I hands out to you because you have a challenge set forth in front of you, but you also have an opportunity to set a game plan today.
Yes.
And make it easier moving forward.
Absolutely.
But those first couple of years, they're just challenging regardless.
Yeah, that's true. Because you do have to make that new, because the compromise is now internal. And that's the thing. That's one of the things that's so important that I think many couples may miss. Some couples may miss. The compromise and communication is between you. When you do it publicly to your family, it's always unified. It's not, well, Mike wants to do that, so we have to, or Heather wants to do this, so we have to. That if you want to create a volatile relationship with in-laws, here's how you do it. He wants to do this. She wants to do that. So sorry, we have to do that. There is the equation. You can absolutely do that. There's the unspoken expectations. We've talked about that. Right?
We'll always talk about that every episode.
Because it's true. And then the others are the boundary gaps. So if you, and we were going to begin to talk about that, if you're not setting boundaries, it's so funny because boundaries, when we say boundaries, often what we hear is you're not allowed to, which I get it. I guess at its core, that is absolutely true. But boundaries created with in-law relationships is safety. It creates unity with the most important relationship, which is yours. I hope I don't have to remind everybody. If I do, you need to know this. The most important relationship that you have right now, outside of your number one being with the Lord Jesus, is the relationship with your spouse by far. And I know To some, that may be difficult to understand, like, but you don't understand my family. I get that. You're right. I don't. But I know enough to know that this relationship, I mean, we've told our kids that. It's like, sorry, this comes first. I mean, this is the one that comes first. And so when you create boundaries, what you're protecting as this is what you're protecting.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking unreasonable, because family's important.
Mm-hmm.
Family is absolutely important, and you need to maintain that. But the most important is you and your spouse and your nucleus family.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important.
Yeah, and I think talking about boundaries, I think it's also important to speak towards boundaries even with your own kids. Like,
that's good.
For instance, as our kids got older, because we on my dad's side, we have like this like little nucleus of grandkids, and our kids are the 3 oldest grandkids, and so there's probably, I think there's like 10 of them or something. No, there's probably a little bit more. Yeah. So anyways, there's
pretty close.
Yeah, there's like 10 to 12 of them.
67.
And
67. Did I just do that?
7, not 67.
I know, but okay. I wanted to be cool.
Yeah, it was almost there. So anyways, so we helped our kids with, they would come to us because they were the oldest of the grandkids, and we would have family traditions with my dad's side of the family, and it was beautiful. And when the kids were little, it was so amazing. It was like,
they loved it.
It was Easter egg,
oh my God.
Easter egg decorating. It was decorating cookies. It was doing cranberry sauce. It was almost nearly every significant holiday. They would do something specific with the grandkids for that holiday. And it was beautiful. And we have so many great, amazing,
they loved it.
Like memories from that. And it was beautiful. However, when our kids started getting older, they would come to us and they'd be like, Mom, Dad, like, we like work. We have like other obligations. And it was so challenging for them to be able to navigate that. And I was like, babe, like you need to start setting these boundaries that you don't get a day off of work just to like please grandma and grandpa. Yeah. And I'm like, I love that it's like you're feeling that tension in this, but this isn't like be gracious, be thankful, and spend time with them outside that it's like you have your work schedule, like fit them in, but you don't need to rework your entire work schedule in order to appease this. And that was just one way that we helped them to kind of build those boundaries. And I think helping them to learn those types of things at a younger age is going to help them even with us. Like, I want our kids to set boundaries with us. Yep. I don't want to be that grandparent that is like, you have to do this and you have to do that. And I want to like be gracious, with our kids as they like find their significant others. Like this year, like our daughter and her boyfriend, they live together, and it's like this is their first year of navigating the holidays in a sort of blended family. Yeah. And so we're like, so what are you guys going to do? And it's like, and it's fun to hear them kind of navigate through that, because it is that first year of kind of having these conversations.
They're absolutely doing that. And one of the things is, remember too, is that setting boundaries is not a disrespectful position. No, it is not. It's not one that is dishonoring, and that's important to understand. Boundaries does not equal dishonor. Mm-hmm. Boundaries, when done with dignity and clarity, actually creates honor, because it creates a space for you that you can then grow your family the way that you've been called to grow your family. And so boundaries is not an ugly word. We think it's that way because we want to do what we want to do. But when you create it around your own family, and be reasonable, you have to be reasonable. Oh, absolutely. And it's different for everyone. But there are principles that you put in place when you're setting boundaries for your family, that when you do that in advance and just set the stage, this is what it is. I love you. I value you, but this is what we're going to do for us. not saying that's not going to be an uncomfortable conversation with some in-laws. That is the reality.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, again, dignity, clarity, kind expression of what you want to do with your family, I think it's only going to help you.
And I think it's going to be different for every family. Like for some families, like setting a boundary of like the grandkids, like getting the day off of work, like maybe that would be something that would be really important to them. But it's like having your family have their own set of boundaries, I think is so special and so it's protective. And so it's like just have the conversations and start asking everyone, what are the things that mean the most to you? What is what's really important to you? What do you want out of this holiday season? Like, how do you picture it being? And if you're sitting here listening to all this and you're like, wow, like I have like a really great set of in-laws on both sides and our holidays are glorious. Don't like dim that light either.
Yes.
Celebrate that.
Yeah, own that, lean into it.
Because I do think that in
Praise the Lord for
our
it.
culture, we tend to in a sense almost like celebrate the negativity that we experience. Like if we don't have a great relationship with our spouse, we tend to like want to feel like we have to like complain about our spouse and you know, or in-laws or whatever. And it's like I think that there's something to be celebrated if you have like a really great like holiday season with family and everyone gets along. I'm always envious of the in-laws that like both sides of the in-laws, like they spend holidays together and they just love each other.
I so envy that.
I'm like, oh my gosh, can we get some of that, please?
I mean, that sounds so amazing. But
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And please, if you have it, please celebrate it.
Yes.
It's just
but
wonderful.
What I think is so interesting about that is that didn't happen again by accident. That happened because the both sides are being intentional and both sides are having to die to themselves. Yeah. They're both having to die to a small ounce of their pride. They're both having to die to some of their own family traditions. They're having to die to a lot of things to mesh those families together. And it's beautiful. And it can be something that should and can be celebrated. No, but absolutely. It takes effort and it takes diligence and it takes thoughtful planning. So I'm going to say, before you go into any holiday season, make sure that you pray together before you go.
Absolutely.
That you pray for softness where there's tension. Like, can I get an amen?
Mm-hmm.
Pray for wisdom and patience and a sense of humor, you know, because Jesus knew what he was doing when he gave us the families that he gave us, and he's probably laughing too. So we gotta like go in with a little bit of grace, go in with a little bit of humor. Don't go in with your walls up and your offenses high. Yeah. Go in with a soft and tender heart, because that is going to speak to the masses. And if you're in a season of where you're a little raw and you're a little hurt and you're a little broken, and you know that there's going to be tension within you, that you're going to be easily triggered, let your family know that, and just like pre-frame it and say, hey, I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm feeling a little tender today. No, the holidays have gotten me a little inked. And
communication again.
Yeah. And I think that it's like, if I specifically would have done that in years past, I think that it would have helped me a lot with some of the conflict that has arose in our family. No,
I absolutely agree with that. I want to leave with a couple things if I could.
Yes.
Just as a parting encouragement to couples, and the first is leave and cleave is God's design, right? You're leaving your mom and dad, and you're cleaving, right? So you're adhering to your new relationship. This is not a cutoff, but it is a reprioritization of relationship. And your spouse is now your first allegiance. It's your first priority is your spouse. The second thing is honor and boundaries can coexist.
Yeah.
And honor doesn't equal, okay, some people need to hear me. I know. Honor doesn't equal unlimited access. That it doesn't equal that. Honor equals dignity plus clarity, right? And that's boundaries. This one, peace is a pursuit not a guarantee. And
yeah, that's good.
Romans 12:18 says, if possible, if possible, the Bible says this, if possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone, which means peace is a posture, not always an outcome. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Sometimes peace requires boundaries, which we absolutely talked about. The last one is you're not alone. Every couple navigates this reality. So if this is happening in your relationship, don't feel bad, don't feel shame, don't feel guilt. This is normal. This is something that you need to absolutely navigate.
Yeah.
Boundaries don't break families, they build healthier ones. Unity in marriage creates stability for generations.
That's good.
And God gives wisdom, grace, and courage for these conversations. And so having this conversation between you and your spouse where you talk privately, you compromise, you come to an agreement, and then you walk out with unity, that is one of the most important parts of communicating to your in-laws your boundaries and the new way forward with dignity and clarity is coming in unity. It's not a suggestion. I'll go as far as to say unity is not optional. It's foundational. You have to be together. If there is a disagreement, then you have to deal with it privately, and then you come out, whatever your unity is, the one that you're both on board with. That is the strongest position going forward, especially with these with these relationships with in-laws, because there can be and will be opportunities for there to be amazing relationships across family generations, across different family cultures that can absolutely happen. And maybe, just maybe, your family, you and your wife could be the glue that makes this all happen.
Yeah.
And so taking those hard stances and doing it in a way that's loving and expressing respect, but also maintaining your family is so important.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's anyone out there that would say that the in-law relationship is ever going to be perfect or easy, but it can be a little bit easier with just some effort and some intention.
Agreed.
So we just want to impart just a little bit of encouragement just to keep there,
going.
Keep pressing in.
Be intentional.
Yeah.
Be intentional.
And know that you can make a difference in the family drama and in the things. Own your stuff when you're wrong, and just shower people with grace and with love, especially in this season.
Absolutely.
Because we can all use a little bit more kindness.
That's the truth.
All right. So make sure to watch our next episode, because our next episode, we're going to be talking about the Enneagram and how the Enneagram relates to in-laws. And how
I'm excited about this one.
Each type kind of like
processes that whole dynamic. Oh, you need to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Make sure to tune in next week for that, because it's going to be a good and juicy conversation.
It's going to be so good. I know it. I can already feel it.
All right. See you next time.